how did that happen? That's a whole nother story, but it happened 4 years ago, and it'll be October. Like it's like an anniversary for me. It was like October 17th of 2019, right? And it's been a journey. Like, it's been really interesting. So those are some of my problems. Those are some of the effects that I think it has on our society, like with the justice system, with us, and here's the thing too, because I was talking to a Christian. They're like, well, sell me something better. They said they got really upset and they're like, sell me something better. And I've started to kind of come up with my own like religion. So I'm not atheist, I'm not anything. I won't even call myself that, right? I'm just calling myself like a free human being. And a couple of things that I say God is human and human is God. And if we started worshiping each other and treating each other like we treated God, right, and we respected each other like that, and if I do something, if I give $5 million to like these people, like start a town, and they're really good people, and like they're gonna really like grow and stuff, like I'm sowing into like the human race and our evolution and stuff like that. Or if I'm like working on something to do like a new invention to like improve our food sources and like our water and stuff like that, I'm doing it like, it's like you give everything. And then I'm not, just like you wouldn't do something against God because God is gonna like punish you or whatever. How does that make you like a good person if you're only doing something out of fear of like God doing something to you out of like punishment? What if you did it just because it was the right thing to do, right? And that's kind of how I feel. I'm like, hey, I want to just do stuff that's good for people. I want to find some way to serve people just because it's the right thing to do. And honestly, me making these videos, this is kind of like my first step, because I see an oppression. And when I've battled with doing it a lot, and I have multiple reasons for doing these videos, but one of them was because I was like, I see people like getting harassed by Christians. I've seen it happen in real time. And the way you deal with this, right, isn't through violence. It's not through bullying. It's not through burning churches or burning Bibles or anything like that. That only perpetuates it, right? And persecution perpetuates it. And they'll actually even say that, oh, when I get persecuted for being a Christian, that just proves it's real. Like, no, you're getting persecuted because you're being annoying. But so that only perpetuates it, right? So if you persecute, so you have to be like above. And I was like, oh, I have to be like above. Like, I stand firm. I've had to like interrupt people, and they're just going on, like, dude was going on for like 15, 20 minutes. And I said, hey, listen, I was a Christian for 30 years. I don't want to hear this. You've been the only one talking, and it's kind of like, I'm kind of done hearing it, right? And the people, like, everyone like turned against me, right? Like, after that, like, because there was a girl there I was talking to, and then she like stopped talking to me. And that was one of the situations where, and it's like, they talk about like they're persecuted. And I'm like, I'm the one actually like has been persecuted by Christianity, by Christians, right? This has been the actual thing to throw me off. So they're like gaslighters, right? So they're kind of preaching this death, doom, and gloom. And it's like, they have no vision for the future of the human beings of the United States or the earth. Their future is death, right? That's all they have to sell is death and fear. And then it's like, I bring it out and they just get upset. And, but at least it stops it from happening. I see that dude around now. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? Hey, what's going on? Oh yeah, talk about the weather or whatever. Like, I'm cool with him. But it's like, he knows like where I stand. I was just like firm with him. I was like, hey, like, this is like pretty much the same stuff I said in this video, and of course I even talked about Noah. Like, that's a crazy story. We pretty much all come from incest. Look up Noah's story, so, and I'll talk about that in another video. Just watch my stuff. Just like and subscribe to my stuff and you'll see everything. You don't need to read it yourself. Don't read it yourself. And they actually did they did have that for a while. Remember, like, it wasn't available for everyone to read, right? Now I'm like, hey, it's right there for me to read. You can't lie to me anymore. I got the internet, dude. So it's like, so for me, like, I guess it's like, this is evil. And the way to combat it is actually like with love, and to look at them as like addicts. Honestly, that's it's like, and you got to have compassion on them. But then at the same time, like, if someone's in a drunken rage and they're like breaking stuff and insulting, screaming at people, and maybe even attacking people, like, you run down and you tackle up, and you just wake up, and you throw some water on their face or whatever and say, you need to sober up. It's kind of like, you like, what I'm saying? Like, it's like, some of these interactions, I'm like firm with them. I'm like, hey, look, no, thank you. And those, I could go on about some of my interactions I've had, but I think this is really embedded in the United States of America. And I think it needs to be, it's kind of like, you still believe in Santa Claus, dude? Okay. Jesus is a duplicated story. There's Osiris. Look up Osiris of Egypt. He died, rose again 3 days later, and had all these powers. He was born of a virgin, and everything like that. Same story as Jesus. And there's a couple other ones too. Bill Maher has a good documentary on it about religion. And he talks about, he has all the details in there about these multiple gods that have the same story as Jesus, and they actually came before Jesus. So he's a duplicated story. So it shows this is another fabricated thing to, and what are some of the values of it? Like, what does this add, right? Like, what would this do for someone? Well, it gives like these pastors, it gives them meaning, right? And it gives like these people meaning. It like satisfies certain needs, kind of like a drug does, kind of like a nicotine, like give you that boost, right? It gives you like that dopamine hit, and like maybe you're stressing out, starting to overthink of something, and you get that hit. I'm like, maybe you're kind of down about something, then you get some alcohol, and you're like, yeah, rager, and like you had something like your heart was broken or something, right? It kind of like suppresses that, right? So that's what they do with Christianity. They do the same thing that a drug addict does. And that's why, like, I've tried to be careful, and I'm like, I feel like the things I want to talk about aren't really for Christians. It's not really for them, because it's like, unless someone's like willing to say, hey, unless the alcoholic's willing to say, you know what, I've lost my job, crashed my car, I lost my girl, like my life's messed up, I got a problem, I need to get this handled, and like I don't know how to stop. And sometimes if an alcoholic drinks very heavily and they stop cold turkey, like they can die, right? So it's like you have to be gentle, kind, and compassionate, and that's kind of like, I'm not so gentle, right? I'm still working on and this is another reason I wanted to hesitate like making videos, because I was like, I'm kind of a goof, dude. Like I'm kind of like, I'm pretty like passionate and like fiery and stuff like that. Like it goes with the hair or whatever, and I kind of work on that stuff. But I still think what my concepts and stuff that I say are very true. And I really see a lot of evidence for it. I've really thought about a lot. I've really observed a lot in the last 4 years on this. And I've had all that experience, right? It's like I'm able to look back on those prior 30 years and kind of see things, kind of see how it is affecting me. Like, like if I was frustrated about something, I would be, oh God, help this situation. The situations would not get improved. They would not get improved. And now it's like I'm working on, okay, why isn't this situation improving? Here's steps and then I'm finding answers, right? Like I'm finding ways to like solve my problems instead of giving it away to some God who's not real. And if it was real, it's super evil and violent and crazy and sadistic, right? It's crazy. So that's my elevator pitch. Those are just my thoughts, kind of how it affects America, and then like how to handle it. Like I really stress that. It's like, persecution perpetuates it, right? Like bullying perpetuates it. You don't want to bully somebody, make them feel small. It's kind of hard not to, though, once you start talking about, I'm like, because I just kind of talk black and white. I'm like, dude, I didn't come from incest. We didn't come from incest. The Bible says it was Noah was the only family left. And it doesn't even say they had women with him. I think that his sons did have wives, but his sons' wives would have had to have kids, and then they would have had to have sex with their cousins. And then you think like the animals like would have had like an alligator would have had, because it was on Mount Ararat is where I think that's the mountain. That's where the ark ended up landing on after the waters went down. So you got to think about all those animals would have to have sex, and then their children would have to have sex. And I haven't really studied like if animals, like if brothers and sisters like an animal kingdom like have sex with each other, but I always had puppies and kittens, and they never did. Like they never did. Like I remember like the boy cats would run off, like the girl cats, and the same thing. I've never seen that in nature, right? So like that's a bunch of weird stuff. Like that's really like awkward. And it's a lot of unanswered questions. And it's like if you're trying to sell me something that's like an eternity kind of deal, and you can't answer these questions, it's kind of like I work in sales, and if I can't answer certain questions to my customers, they don't buy. And you expect me to buy something, you're not gonna overcome all my objections. You're gonna dip and dodge. You're a liar. 100% of pastors, Christian pastors in the United States of America, are liars. They're liars. They're selling lies, and they're getting paid. A lot of them getting paid for it too. A lot of them getting paid multi-millions of dollars, getting paid to lie, right? So that's my spiel. I think it's a big problem in the United States of America. because we are Babel, and Babel's good. And Babel is where all the human beings of the planet Earth come together to evolve and advance. And I see a lot of it happening too. Like I see a lot of good stuff out there, but this is one thing that's just kind of like one of the things that needs to go, you know, along our journey, you know, together on this planet, you know, and not to go like really too deep. I won't say that. Maybe for another video, but anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Check out the next one.